Hello there, Seamus.
Hi, Piers.
Welcome to another Is That So podcast.
And we have some guests with us today.
Struggling already. The state of this, man.
Drink more tea.
Would you like to introduce yourselves however you want? Don't even have to. Whatever you want to say.
Hey, I'm Aoife and this is Lemon.
Also known as Nisha.
Why lemon?
From when I was about 3 until I was about 10, I wanted to be a boy, and Lemon was one of my alter egos.
It's kind of like Butters in South Park.
I guess it was more gender neutral, but I think at the time I wanted to be a boy, so Lemon.
Lemon. Nice.
Why is lemon masculine? Like, really?
Oh, your man in
I
Narcos
had
is called
really
Lemon, so
blonde hair, so I think that
was just it.
I was
Yeah.
just like a yellow thing, new
Well-
identity.
yeah. There is that guy in Narcos who's called Lemon. He doesn't. I mean, his life doesn't go great, but you know,
Yeah,
he was a man. So
Yeah, kind of works
I've
out.
upwon them already, so it's fine.
there you go. There you go.
Yeah, and what do you guys do at the moment?
I don't even know what Seamus is talking about
I
here.
work in advertising as a social media kind of art director, I guess. And
Yeah. And yeah, I'm just studying my final year, studying songwriting. Exciting stuff.
Absolutely wonderful. Well, funny, Seamus, that we mentioned this because actually we were just talking about social media and advertising, and all the myriad ways that they can get in or get their claws into you. Because Seamus has recently deleted all of his social media.
Yeah, well, I'm just afraid.
He has revolted against the modern world. But Aoife was explaining to us just how some of the advertising techniques works, and I'd like to talk about that for a minute, if we could.
yeah.
If we could.
Come close.
I actually have just one thing like before I talk about it, there's like I can't really talk about some confidentiality things. It's like
Non-disclosure,
some
yeah.
things.
Yes.
Non-disclosure things, some things I can't really talk about like my specific work.
Yeah, that's great.
That is fine.
But
Absolutely.
I can talk about like generally.
Yes,
Yeah.
perfect. I'd prefer if people didn't like come and break your knees over really revealing
I just
specific
have to be
stuff.
Very careful about like I'm not gonna mention any clients, and if I do, like
Yes,
Yeah, we'll just
we'll
leave that shit.
remove that.
yeah, cool. Just like beep.
Major corporation. Beep. Yeah. Go on. So, like, what kind of would your daily work be like?
I mainly make video content for social media, mainly Instagram, Facebook stuff. And then just kind of making posts and looking at what other people are doing, and and thinking about how brands can get social and get reactive.
And are there certain techniques? This man's brain is gone. Are there certain techniques that you would have to employ in order to make things more? Obviously there are, but to make things more likely to pop up in somebody's feed or specific demographics, that kind of thing. And how does that work?
I think a lot of it is just really how much money you put behind posts, especially in like Facebook and stuff. Also just having actual good content is great.
Naturally.
So, any video stuff we do, it's funny, we under 7 seconds, because people just don't have the attention span for anything above 7 seconds. So we will make.
Interesting.
kinda grim.
Yeah, it is. Do you think that's changed like over the last couple of years? Obviously, like
Yeah.
when Vine came in or whatever, that was 7 seconds, right?
Yeah,
And
7 seconds.
That's like the perfect amount, as you said. Like, did that change?
Do it for the Vine.
Do it for Vine.
I ain't gonna do it. Do you think the attention span was always like that, or did Vine change it to that?
That's actually a really good observation. Honestly, I can't really say, but yeah, maybe. But also, I think that we're not really that willing to like give our attention maybe to brands as much as like people that are in our like network and in our like that we know in real life. Because like
True.
you're basically getting people to consume ads.
Right. Well, they do still say that the word of mouth is still the best possible advertisement, right? Because you trust your friends, whatever they're saying to you. Is there any way that you like that advertisements can be designed in order to try and get people to spread it by word of mouth? Like how, like if you were to try and promote a brand, but you wanted it to be spread by friends to other friends, is there any specific way you'd be able to do that, or is it just kind of luck?
Well, I think that a lot of the time there's like a key person in your WhatsApp group or someone that organizes a lot of the stuff, and those are the people that brands really want to get on side. So by doing like promotions and stuff, that you might get people to like get involved with your brand that way. Also, like with influencers, using influencers, you can kind of infiltrate people's like
Friends groups.
friend groups.
I'm sweating over here.
Because like you're like, think about it, right? Say like there's always, there's so many, a lot of influencers, so many followers, people like James Kavanagh and stuff. Like, if James Kavanagh does something, so many people see it, and people interact with influencers and like watch their content like they would their friends' content, and like a lot of the kind of influencee relationship is kind of based on that whole like, you feel like you're mates with this person.
Yeah.
Like you feel like like all these intimate things about their lives, and like it kind of is weird in that like it works a little bit like your friend recommending a product, even though a lot of time influencers are paid to do that.
Right, yeah. And do the influencers, like, I don't know the legal thing at all around it, the influencers have to say that it's an ad, or can they just go with it?
Legally they have to like hashtag ad
Okay.
in all their posts.
But presumably they could probably hide that at the bottom of the post, right? So that not many people, or does
I think they just have to have it in the post, and there's any restrictions like what size it has to be or things like that.
Okay, cool.
And like, what kind of stuff would you deploy to make make an ad successful? 7 seconds is grand, but like, one of the reasons that I defected from social media is like, I got like increasingly like disenfranchised with like how much and how insidious the ads were. Like, like I felt that the psychologist's symbolism like and messaging was like in the ads, like that they were really like cracking into what I would like and using that against me. Like the example I used was like that game Candy Crush. Like when I'm going in on the bus in the morning, like proper adults just devoting every single day into Candy Crush, when they could be just doing something like better for themselves, and just all the colours and stuff like that are just made for them to be addicted to it. Like I thought the ads with the flashing and stuff like that would do something similar.
See, I'd like to think that like people are able to make their own decisions about like what they buy.
It's not true.
Like I know it's not.
That's your job. Your job is to make them not make their own decisions. Then.
Yeah, but I know it's not like. But you do have a level of autonomy. Like no one says you have to like pay attention to ads. I mean, I feel like, if you see an ad for a bleep car.
Yes.
That's not necessarily
A
one
car.
of your clients. That's just like an ad for a car. Right?
Yeah, that's okay. I think
say
you're
that.
fine.
If you see an ad for a car, you're not gonna like turn around and buy it. You may not turn around and buy that car.
No.
You might be like, oh, it's a cool car, but you know, it takes a lot for that to actually translate into a behavior. So like, I mean, I don't know. I don't think that like I don't think people are as like helpless as you think they are. I think that people can make decisions. Obviously, when you're constantly being bombarded by ads, but even like in the people you follow, like if you follow influencers, you're following pretty much advertisements. And that's even worse in a way, because I feel like you're following, like, fair dues to anyone who is an influencer, you know, it is a career path that's very difficult, and it's like, not everyone could do it, but you're just constantly promoting brands, and you're promoting like capitalism, consumerism, like you're...
Yeah. I think like one of the major grievances I'd have though is just you know, the fact that you say you can not look at ads, but you have to sometimes. Like, so say for instance, like a lot of Facebook videos now, YouTube videos,
Yeah.
you have that 5 seconds, that brief window, and maybe halfway through the video where you have to watch that ad as well. You know, your attention span, like I felt mine when if I was just constantly on social media, my attention span would just get ruined by like just attaching to new stuff all the time, and like ads kind of just forcing me to look at something that I wasn't necessarily paying attention to, and then it would be hard to concentrate back on. Now that might be a comment on my attention skills more than anything else.
Do you think that like now with social media, the way we're showing images all the time, do you think the images mean less?
Yeah, I was about to ask about that. Like, if you're doing some kind of advertisement, there's such a saturation nowadays that it must be hard to make your ad distinguishable from all the other ones, because there are it's an incredibly creative industry. There's lots of creative people working on it all the time. Like, is there any techniques that you've used, or just thought patterns maybe, that go into making an ad distinguishable from just all the other ones? Because we're bombarded with them all the time, so it has to stand out some way.
Because I'm an art director, I feel like it's more just about making things look a bit more polished than everyone else's, or making it look slightly different visually. But yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a lot in how you promote things that like really affect who it reaches and how successful it is.
Yeah, I think I'd like to, go into that, to get away from like the subliminal stuff.
The
Illuminati!
The Alex Jones.
I don't think you're like putting in like secret like naked women into your advertisements.
I wish I could.
Satanic symbols.
The
Advertising for the US Navy.
I would absolutely love to, like,
you should do that one day.
Do the join the Navy, like.
It's amazing.
A lot of upside down triangles.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I could. Like, I wish I could.
You can. You have the power.
You have this power.
I don't really.
You can design like a dollar bill inside. Have all these secret meanings or whatever. But yeah, like the algorithms or whatever, I think we were talking about just before the podcast or whatever, you were saying, like, I'm completely unaware of all this, but like how people crack like algorithms to just basically feed people their content, regardless of its popularity, and then maybe propagate it like that. Like you were saying, like Facebook's dead unless you pay for it,
Yeah.
But how do people crack other ones? Maybe, I don't know.
Well, I think mainly algorithms are designed to kind of promote. They're designed, I guess, initially just to kind of promote better content over like the most recent content. So that's why Instagram got rid of the like timeline that was like when you used to open Instagram, you saw like the most recent post. But now when you open Instagram, you can see a post from 21 hours at the top of your feed, because like it's now promoting posts with the most engagement.
Yeah.
So it's not even like posts that are the most liked, it's like the posts that have the most comments from people who get a lot of likes anyway, and from people who, if you message a lot of people on Instagram, I don't know how true this is, but you can, like, that post similar content, that Instagram, the algorithm has like defined you guys as like producing. Let's say if it's another artist and you're an artist,
Yeah.
and you talk to a lot of artists, you may benefit by getting your posts higher up and stuff.
That's interesting.
Engagement is really important.
Because I found like sometimes, even with the podcast, or like if you want to get to people who might like to listen to it, it's hard enough because, well, obviously we don't know the algorithms or like what kind of way it would go. Like it's hard to reach the people unless you've a following in itself, at the start. But I suppose we've no idea how to do it either. As a musician, like, what way would you say? Because like social media would be big for like promoting gigs and stuff like that. Like, what have you found like best? Which one to use, and like what way have you found best to use it? Like.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting one, because I can kind of see it a lot that there would be, I guess, a lot of bands that I'm connected with, and I guess initially Facebook would have been the biggest one, I guess, with like using sponsored posts to kind of promote a gig. But there's a lot of bands who've been going for a couple of years who still only get 30 likes on a post, but that they could probably get 200 people to go to their show. So Facebook at the minute doesn't seem to actually show realistically what your fan base is, or depending on how many likes you get and stuff, it still seems that like your post will only be seen by 20 people or something. It's so I think Instagram seems to be more so the space now, where I guess you're kind of, people are posting on like a weekly basis about like kind of updates, and then stories would be more so where you would show like the personal side of being like, oh, we're rehearsing and we're really funny and like you know we're
Oh my God.
relatable. Oh, like
my God,
this is
we're-
a song about a boy. I'm just gonna give you 10 seconds of it.
Just a sneak peek. Yeah, I'm almost finished writing it now. You just wrote the 10 seconds.
Yeah, and there'll be a lot of that even with like the videos because you can just post like a minute video. So you'll be like, I'm working on this song right now. It's like me and my guitar and
It's almost like you're a real person.
yeah.
Yeah.
With feelings.
But it kind of
Shocking.
seems that like there hasn't been that many people that I've seen that I would be in my social circle, I guess, that have cracked it yet.
Mm.
I think it can be because I think the one thing I also found, I think the second, especially with Facebook, the second you start paying them, you get nothing unless you pay them.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think there is a thing about organic growth more so. So I think if you're initially kind of starting off and you're not getting much attention and then you're just paying for those likes, then you're kind of never going to have that organic growth.
Right. Yeah, it does seem to me from like an outsider's perspective, especially with music, it's very much still a case of, you know, talent plus luck and word of mouth.
Yeah, it is. I think sharing is the biggest thing that for musicians, I guess, if you're gonna, you can have a sponsored post or you can have, you know, get a review off Nile or Nine or something that could get some sort of reaction, but it still seems to be that it's sharing, and that's kind of, I guess, the virtual version of word of mouth. I was like, share, and then it's kind of like if 10 people see each share, then it will kind of add up that way in a sense, but then at the same time then you're not getting the engagement on the original post.
Yeah.
So it's hard to
just
quantify
kind of
how
like
much, yeah.
an interesting one, because there would have like there's definitely kind of videos that I would have uploaded straight to Facebook, whether it was like a performance in college or something, that I would look back on in my memories and realise that it has like 7,000 views. I'm like,
Where did that come from?
it has
Yeah.
13 likes on it or something, and I'm like, what?
I think Facebook like is in the decline as well. Like you're less likely to engage with Facebook just in general. I think people are kind of switching off that and heading to other like social medias, as you said. Like Facebook doesn't seem to be the place to do it because there is that just lack of engagement. You know,
Yeah, I think just people are a lot more interested in, I think Instagram and stuff with stories are just kind of the biggest, just short videos seem to be the biggest thing, and then Facebook kind of tried to do their own version of that and people were like,
Yeah, see that's and it touches on like what you said earlier on as well, but like, you know, that I'm just gonna write a song just 10 seconds over here, you know.
Yeah.
Like just the fact of the shortening it down constantly, it just ticked me off to the point where I was like, there is no amount of realism you can get into 7 seconds or 10 seconds or whatever you're posting up here, like a Snapchat story. You know, that's not you. It's a form of you. But like I don't really, if I want to like someone, I'm gonna have to need to know a little bit more than 7 seconds, you know, like, and you might watch a lot of their stuff, but it's all like a presented version. I know that's what social media is in general, but that's kind of like why I like podcasts. And if I'm a fan of someone, I'd like if they had a podcast, just to give an extended, like more unpolished version of themselves. And if I like who they are from that point, then I could engage with them. But the short term stuff on social media, it just doesn't do it for me anymore, because it is so piecewise, you know. Like if a band that you liked had a podcast, or like they could just upload their jam every week, you know, you could hear the process, you know. It'd be a lot more real than that one person who writes 10 seconds, I think.
Yeah, well, that would definitely be the hope, because when I see stuff like that of videos of like a girl with a guitar, I'm
just
gone.
straight past it, like,
And you're kind of, what you're hoping for really is people to come to your shows, people to listen to your music online, and if people aren't even bothered to click the Spotify link, you've
no
lost.
hope.
You've
There's no
lost.
hope.
Like I think that's the kind of one hope left. Really, is the live scene. I would say, because you're there, you're in the moment. People are really kind of putting themselves out there, and if you see, I still believe that if you see a really good show, you're gonna be like,
you never.
that I follow that
You're a
band.
fan.
Yeah.
Like, you're a fan then, and I don't think seeing someone's Instagram story of them playing a piano ballad for 10 seconds is gonna give you that same feeling as if you saw like an hour show.
They have so many feelings.
They're so real.
important.
Each of those seconds, you know.
Yeah.
For both of you, is there any particular new social media platforms that you think are doing, in terms of music and advertising, are doing it quite well? As in, maybe they're like especially effective at promoting music, or anything generally advertising.
Not generally advertising. There was ads on it, but I think they got rid of them. But I started using TikTok, and I think it's just really interesting. Sounds like, okay, prepare for the most farty sentence ever. But I think it's a really good insight into like the Gen Z cultural zeitgeist.
Sorry, do you want me to put it closer? You can.
Yeah, so like the Gen Z cultural zeitgeist. In that, like, I feel like when I go on it, like, it's so annoying. It's full of
What
kids.
is it? I've
Okay, so,
no idea,
sorry. It's a Chinese social media platform. It's like all about vertical video, and it's using a lot of music. So, like, you know the way you can put, like, songs to your stories on Instagram?
Yeah.
It allows you to do that, but with, like, kind of longer videos, and allows you to kind of... There's a lot of in-app video editing things you can do. Like, you can do camera shakes and all this stuff. And there's a lot of challenges that go around, and it feels like one of those, like, social medias. It's just, like, there's a challenge, everyone does the challenge, then there's a new challenge, everyone does the challenge. And a lot of challenges involve, like, editing. So there's this one thing, like... I can't remember what it's called, but it's like kind of like I saw it, I got it is like the song. There's a song, it's like I saw it, I got it, I saw it.
Right.
It's like and people are like Google image searching things and then like pointing their finger like kind of like a gunner almost, and then they'd have it in their hand.
Oh, cool.
And they edit the thing, so it's
Right.
like I Google imaged fairy washing up liquid and I shot it with my invisible gun and then like I got fairy washing up liquid in my hand now.
Yeah.
Or like things like people make these videos where they like walk around their rooms like a messy bedroom, and they do like this like fake shoot all the mess, and then they edit it so it's like, and then it's
Pristine.
like clean.
A lot of violence
So it's
on
like-
TikTok, though.
And it's all like clean, and it seems like it's all magic and that everything in their life is so effortless, and it's like weird how like the kind of editing or people. This other one where it's like where people like are in their bathrooms and then they edit their videos so they're like constantly falling. So they take a video of them in front of the mirror and then they'll like crouch down. And then they'll edit loads of them together so it looks like they're constantly falling
Wow.
through their bathrooms.
That's kind of cool, yeah.
But like everyone does it. It's like a weird challenge thing.
Yeah.
So then you'll see if you scroll through like your there's like the home page on TikTok is called like For You, and if you scroll through the For You, it's just like you'll see like 20 of those like drowning there's like it's like drowning bathroom
photos,
videos. You'll see the fucking tidying up videos. You'll see like whatever challenge. You'll see, and it's kind of like one of those things like. I feel like like really young people now that are like into content creation, like there's some really great stuff that people like come out of their bedrooms, and there's some absolute shite, and like
Yeah.
To be expected.
and it's kind of funny. It's like the popularity now is so measured. Your like clout online is like so. It's like so important to
Well,
like being.
It's like a Black
I was,
Mirror episode.
yeah. Well, I was about to say it's almost like video game mechanics applied to real life, right? Because you've got your rank or whatever in
Yeah.
X game, and it's just, and you've challenges again. Like that's a video game thing. It's almost like video game culture has influenced Gen Z to such an extent that they're just turning real life into it.
Yeah,
and
that's
Right.
interesting.
because I saw there's this one TikTok account that has this like really bad stuff where this person just does all these like things that are really really horrible to watch. Like they'll get a bath, fill it with water, and then just dump their foot with a sock on it in the bath and like do all this stuff that's like really not nice to watch. And the like all the captions are always like, "Oh, get me to 10k followers and I'll stop making bad videos." And then
It's like ransom.
and it's like holding people to ransom with like bad content, and it's so funny. Like,
How do they have any followers?
I
like
love
it's
that.
it's obviously,
That's absolutely
but it's
brilliant.
so like internet and meta. Is in like
Yeah.
people are like, oh, I'm gonna follow this person that makes terrible content
Yeah.
because like they're so brash about what they want as well.
Yeah.
But there's something about that though, because I followed a page for ages on Facebook that was just like beans in worst situations.
I also followed
Yeah,
that.
it was like
That's
it was
really
like coming out of
a shame.
toothpaste on a toothbrush, and it was like in a crock.
Yeah, or in a clock or like something.
And
Would just be beans
It was
there.
just like
Why do they
in
have
all the
that?
places, or like a bowl and feet in the beans. It was just like disgusting, and I just lived to see it. I just wanted new bean content all the time, even though it disgusted me. So
It's also something that would just
what
be
that is.
totally impenetrable if you're in any way outside of the internet. Like if you grew up without the internet and you tried to, I have to imagine parents parents trying to understand this is just next level altogether.
Yeah.
There has definitely been times I've shown my parents stuff and they're just like, "You're an idiot." I'm like, "Sorry, I thought it was funny."
What about you were talking about what was that one that we were talking about earlier on before the show that Alex Jones is very popular on? Yeah.
Oh
Steam
yeah,
it?
there's social media called Steam It, which is like a blockchain social media. It's really interesting. It's like you can't like delete anything off it apparently.
Yeah.
You post on it and you can earn Steam dollars. It's kind of like Reddit in that you can upvote, like if a whale, it sounds weird.
Yeah.
There's
whales, yeah.
people on Steam It called whales, and they're like mega users or users that have like a lot of clout pretty much, or like a big following. And if the whales upvote your content, then you can like shoot up the kind of rankings, and you can earn like cryptocurrencies from like your posts like directly from your posts. It's a cryptocurrency called Steam dollars, which is pretty much like it's interesting. And Alex Jones, when he got kicked off Twitter and Facebook and everything, he went to Steam It, and now he's one of the biggest like Steam It content creators.
Which is incredible. And yeah, as you said, you can't delete anything off blockchain, so like he's there forever. Like,
He's
they,
there
they can't get
forever.
rid of him.
And they have their own version of YouTube as well in the Steam It
Really?
beta app. So it's like YouTube meets like kind of a blogging platform, kind of like it's almost like Reddit, Quora, and YouTube had a baby, and it was like badly designed.
And Patreon as well
And
in
like
there too.
lots of men on it. Lots of like people that are like, I'm an early tech adopter and I do things and I have a business I don't really understand. I do stuff with tech and I'm a man. That's pretty much, if I was to summarize, is like Alex Jones and there's those people.
What a combination.
Sounds like an interesting place to be anyway. Like,
I never
if
want to
you-
go there.
Yeah.
Not well.
I'm oddly curious now. I'd also just like to take a brief moment to comment on just how much Alex Jones seems to come up in this podcast. I don't know what it is, but basically every second episode that man's name appears. Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk as well, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Oh, fucking hell.
Just so much, like it seems like those people do so much that just captures.
well,
our
yeah,
attention.
you're talking about the Gen Z zeitgeist. That's
Yeah,
it
I
there
mean-
in 3 people, right? Pretty much put PewDiePie in there and you have the whole
Oh
shebang.
my god.
Yeah.
I mean, Elon Musk is going to give the world free Wi-Fi, and I just think you should call him Saint Elon after that. Like if he doesn't come up in the podcast, like, I mean, who else will? Like, he's giving us free Wi-Fi. Don't know. Did you hear about that?
Is that his plan?
That's it.
Yeah.
No, wait. It's many plans. Don't.
That's one of them. He's gonna. I think it's like 3,000 satellites,
he
micro
started
satellites.
to put the satellites up there, so everybody gets free Wi-Fi in the
Do you
entire world.
think
Yeah.
that right, Wi-Fi is like a human right?
No.
Like, do you think
No.
the internet? Do you think the internet
And we
access?
might eventually
You
be
know-
that
No.
internet access is like a kind of like a human right.
No, I don't
No,
think that because
I don't think so.
you can. No.
I think it could eventually become a public utility, like relatively soon as well, in the same way electricity is. But I don't think it's a human right. But then there's a lot of things I don't think are human rights.
I think
So
a human right is just necessary for biological survival. That's my definition of it. So if you can have biological survival without the internet, then yes. But if it gets to the stage where you can't buy anything without the internet, or you can't communicate, or you can't get a job without the internet, then yeah, it could pretty soon. Like
Yeah.
if you have to apply for a job through the internet and you don't have access to it, well then you're out of the loop. You know.
Yeah.
And that
again,
is
like
human.
electricity isn't a human right, but it's a public utility, so everybody pretty much is guaranteed access to it, provided they have a house or some way to connect to the lines.
Yeah, there's always free ways to get the internet as well, you know, like in libraries and stuff like that, and anybody can become a library member, so it's still kind of alright at the moment. Like if you really want the internet, you can get it without having like your own supply. Like,
I mean, plus if Musk's plan actually works, it doesn't even matter anymore, right? Because
Yeah.
just the whole world will have Wi-Fi. That'll be it.
Yeah.
But that kind of, like, that freaks me out a bit. 'Cause that's, like, reminding me very much of the plot of that Kingsman movie. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I've seen both of them.
And it's just, like, is he gonna just blow us all up with the Wi-Fi somehow? It's like when he gave out the free SIM cards, you know?
Oh yeah. Well, that would
Like,
be.
is his satellite's gonna do something to... I don't know. I'm getting a bit too weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, if he drops them all on the planet at once, he could do some fairly hefty damage. I'd say.
I
But
think I view him as a god almost. So. I choose not to believe he's going to do anything like that. Yeah, like he definitely he could use it to track anybody that used the Wi-Fi. Maybe I don't know, depending on what he did. Like, because they're bouncing off his satellites, right? But I don't think so. He's like, if this man like releases all the patents to all of his electric cars to make the stuff transparent so other people can use it, then I think like he's fairly benign, you know, like.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
like,
I don't know
he-
why I wouldn't trust him less than I trust any other internet source, you know?
What?
Internet
That's
source?
not,
Google.
he's not an internet source. He's a human being. Like,
Well, as
He's a
in
human
his-
being.
Yeah,
His
he's a human.
Wi-Fi, I don't know.
in fairness,
Yeah,
I probably
he has
trust
a
him more than
Wi-Fi.
AT&T or like Google or any of the big ones. I think I trust him more than Vodafone.
Yeah,
For sure.
but I suppose that could
Fuck
be
Vodafone.
that could be a cultivated image. You're right. Like we
Yeah,
could just
yeah.
think that he's like this person, but that's just what he's portraying himself as, and he could be completely.
And he does have the kind of resources that he could do that, you know.
Yeah.
Although it doesn't seem to be working too well for Jeff Bezos at the moment. He has a pretty bad image despite all of his power.
His divorce and stuff.
Oh yeah. It's funny. She's going to become the richest woman in the world. You know, his wife, from
Wow.
from divorce.
That just
What a
shows
great
you-
example
That just shows
for
you
kids.
like gender inequality, like in a nutshell. It's just like richest woman in the world gets rich from divorcing a rich man.
Mm.
God.
It's hilarious.
like it's just kind of like, oh yeah, cool,
What
cool.
can you
I
get?
worked,
Yeah.
I worked all my life, but that's cool. Whatever,
Yeah.
it's fine.
What a great example for young women everywhere.
Yeah.
How do you get rich? I'll just marry a rich guy and then take his money.
Yeah, like maybe we all could just do that.
I want to marry a rich guy and take his money.
Too want to
Can you
marry a
do
rich
that
guy
through
and take
gay
his money.
marriage?
Oh, yeah.
True.
Oh, it is legal.
Well,
now.
not in Ireland, not gay marriage, but like the 50% thing, right?
What?
In America, it's like if you divorce someone, you get 50% of earnings. For the
In
rest
certain
of their life.
states, depends on the state.
Really?
In some states,
Well,
you have
like
to have a
automatically.
absolutely brutal legal
Yeah.
battle about it. But I think in California is where he was getting
Yeah.
divorced, and I think there it's just 50% straight away.
Which is
Why
like,
did he do that?
oh, he cheated.
I mean,
you know.
did you see the reporter
No.
that he went with? Yeah, she's pretty good looking.
I don't know, like, if I didn't want my resources split that badly, I don't know how much he must have really wanted to cheat, like.
but also like don't forget, right? So he's going from 140 billion to 70 billion. Oh no, I only have 70 billion now. I only have what like most developing countries could dream of. You know, he has the kind of resource. I think when you're at that level of money, obviously he's going to be annoyed that he's losing money. But if he comes out of it with 70 billion, it's not going to change his life in any particularly dramatic way.
Yeah, but it could change the companies that he's trying to, like, you know,
Yeah.
grow. Like.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I don't know if I don't think she gets that in cash, right? I think she just gets the, just 70 billion.
I thought she got like a giant
Cash,
check.
like, massive suitcase.
Yeah, a really big check. Like a
Yeah.
particularly large
Yeah,
check.
no, it was like it's kind of carried in the back of like 3 elephants.
On a palanquin. They just have all the money. I want it in one set of coins, please.
She's just like, how am I going to bring that on the plane home? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, true. Yeah, because you'd be taxed as shit. Like, if you just got 70 billion, you tax the shit straight off. Like.
I mean, talk about companies with effective advertising campaigns to bring this full circle. Amazon, like, good God, that's going to become the most valuable company in the world pretty damn soon. And I don't even know if that's advertising or word of mouth or what happened there, but they've just somehow managed to absolutely demolish all the competition with pretty much, from the outside, it seems like little to no resistance at all. Anybody
It
else?
seemed like a quiet quiet rise as well, because
Yeah.
they were just like books, and you're like, oh, I get some book stuff on Amazon. It was like, nah, now it's everything.
Now it's drones.
Yeah.
It was just like books, and then a few I'm gonna have some headphones with my book.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, oh, now I can buy everything, food, cool, whatever.
Yeah. They're starting to build their own stores. They have their own transport company. They're going to start delivering stuff with drones. I mean, they're getting expensive. There's like in the States, when they're I can't remember if they selected the state or not, but Amazon said they wanted to set up a new Amazon HQ, which would obviously provide lots of jobs. And so like all these governors from the States and local mayors for New York or whatever were coming begging to Jeff Bezos, like offering loads of Bezos whatever, loads of like tax reductions or sponsorship or whatever from state money just to get the thing in there. So that company wields an incredible amount of power.
I was reading about them, and they weren't profitable for the longest time.
Yeah.
And the reason
until very recently.
No, but the reason that is they invested every single thing back into the company, so it didn't count as profit. But the reason they did that was because you don't get taxed if you don't make profit. So they didn't get taxed for the longest time because they made no profit because they just invested.
They funnel it back into the
all
company.
of it back into the thing. So whatever, like just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
How I suppose. At that stage, if we are talking about advertising, I suppose we could go back to this. How would that even differ? Like, that's a different kind of advertising than the stuff we were talking about earlier on. You want to get your company off the ground. That's almost mitigation. That's how do we not look like evil bastards here? How do we not seem like we own all the money, and how do we seem like we're friendly and down to earth at that stage? Rather than being like, oh, please use our service. It's like, we know you're using our service. Just try not to think about it too much. I don't know.
Because they're in, with workplace conditions for Amazon employees, and there's been loads of shit that's like, Amazon are not great.
Yeah.
And thing about it is, they make so much money at this stage. Like, they could spend not very much money to be better. If you know what I mean?
Definitely, it's the same with all the corporations. They watch the cents, so they watch the dollars or whatever.
They probably spend more money covering up
the legal bills,
ramifications of the shit that they've caused, more than they do actually solving the shit in the first place.
I'd love to see the cost analysis on that, because I bet you, obviously with a company that size, I bet you they try to calculate, okay, this is how much we lose if X amount of people that we predict will take legal action against us versus raising the wages or the conditions so that they don't. And I bet you, as soon as it turns out that if they raise the wages, it'll be less of a loss. They'll just do it immediately.
Yeah.
Because I guess with services like that, I guess it's kind of, I try to avoid using Amazon if I can, but it's kind of hard.
It's difficult to avoid.
You kind of have to at some point.
I think that's what happens though. It gets to a stage where they don't even care if they look bad because people are going to use it anyway. It's the same as pennies. Alright, I have a thing for pennies, but you can see this big massive corporation, you can see all this stuff, but if you need your €2 t-shirt, or you need your cheap socks or your cheap underwear, or you can get this thing, so many people, they've such huge customer they don't even pay for advertising. That's why they're so rich. They don't have to, because people just know. Reputation. So it's sometimes I think when you get to that stage of you're so rich and you sell absolutely everything that people can't avoid using your service, so you don't even care what your rep is anymore.
Yeah, the whole Facebook thing. Getting back onto it. Of a year ago, right? Straight up, we're stealing your data. Straight up, it's been proven. Right, now you've been taken to court. Several scandals. And everybody was yeah, we kind of knew that. Everybody oh, we all suspected it, and then it was literally proven, and then nothing. There's no popular opinion that changed. You're I still need to use Facebook, because how do I know if I'm getting invited to a party or not?
Yeah.
Where else am I going to get my dog memes?
Yeah, there's plenty of places.
Yeah.
I can sort it out.
Any dog memes, yeah.
Dog memes on Tick.
Yeah.
I've got some dodgy ones here.
But I'm serious, because they don't care. Nike had that thing where they had to install nets because their workers were jumping out of the the windows of the factories because their families got insurance money, and that was worth more than their lives or whatever, you know, working at the factory. So they were literally sacrificing themselves for their families to do it. And everybody was like, oh yeah, oh, okay.
Same with Apple. Same with
Yeah,
Apple as well.
like,
Yeah.
I suppose it's a little different, you know, because you can consciously, like, a lot of people don't wear Nike products or whatever. But then they also try and advertise. They had that huge thing where they were advertising with the American footballer who took the knee.
Yeah.
And so
That was
this
grim
this
that
is
they
this
did
is the
that,
same
yeah.
year. If you look at it, where okay, they're having like a Vietnam probably. I think that's where they make their shoes. It could be somewhere else, but these people jumping out windows, dying, whatever, and then like, oh no, look, we're looking out for rights of, you know, underprivileged people. Yeah, okay, stop the hypocrisy. Sorry, sorry. But
yeah,
that's what-
they're
and no one
really,
cares,
they're
like,
really
you know.
woke, but they're not like they don't actually care
Woke?
about.
I didn't sleep.
I'm so woke, I don't sleep.
It's. I mean. I guess in that case, it's also partly the public's fault in that we get really involved in what goes on within our own borders or whatever. But then absolutely no shit's given for anything that happens
maybe-
outside.
Maybe it's because we have never really. Either way, you can't even comprehend, like, as much as we're like read these horrible stories about people who like work in really bad conditions, like committing suicide because of their like horrific lives. We kind of, that is kind of foreign to us almost. Like, I don't think that we can really relate to that as much as we can relate to someone who's had like a minor, hate to say this, but like a minor adversity.
Yeah.
I don't think that we can really relate to the major adversity because we have never really experienced that
Yeah.
much of it.
I understand, like, I understand that, like, because, yeah, you know, like, all of your troubles look, you know, really insignificant when you compare them to, like, whatever, you know, there's so many things you could do that. You could feel perpetually, like, self-loathe yourself the entire day for all the, you know, good things that happen to you in your life. But all I was just pointing at the hypocrisy of it, you know,
Oh,
and
yeah.
the willingness of people to just forget about it. You know, it doesn't matter. That's what I was saying about the advertising being used to advertise the thing that, you know, they weren't kind of like doing at all. You know.
It was the same with the Gillette ad, really. The Gillette
Yeah.
ad about, you know, men's kind of, I guess, like,
I really tried to avoid that whole thing.
I was about to say I actually missed that entire thing
It-
because I saw one article's headline and I was like, oh, it's one of these things again, and I just completely
but
didn't pay attention.
I have it. Okay, hot take,
Hot
Okay.
take.
but
Wait, warm the mic up there, just so it doesn't burn up.
I'm going to put on the fire.
I think that ad was designed for women, because if you think about, like, women are mainly the people who buy men's razors for men. So
Yeah, it's-
isn't it very interesting that a brand of men's products are kind of championing women's rights?
That is so interesting.
Yeah,
Because
That is-
and I-
women are the, like, main. I said this, yeah, like I was saying this, like, people who work, and it was just like, yeah.
Well, Aoife, funny you said that because I learned relatively recently as well that, you know, Old Spice,
Yeah.
the brand, that was almost dead. I can't remember when, but, you know, some years ago. And the way when they brought out that famous advertisement of theirs, like, that was obviously quite blatantly advertised towards women. It was like, you know, you're you know, was the line, your man doesn't look like me, but he could smell like me.
Yeah.
Advertised towards women, that totally revived the brand, completely revived the brand. Whereas advertising towards men for 70 years before that had almost killed it.
Yeah, it's this.
So I think you're right.
This is really, thank you for saying this, because it just fucking like sparks something in my head. Like that makes so much sense. That would be a tactic, like reverse psychology, basically, or not even reverse psychology. Just using that to not
Pinpointing the actual market.
like there was I don't know if you know anything about diamonds. We actually talked about it on the gemstone. We had a
Gemologist.
lovely gemologist on here, and she talked about, like, you know, she hates diamonds. She doesn't hate diamonds, sorry. But she thinks, like, she much prefers gemstones in themselves. But she was telling us how diamonds were revitalized by an advertising campaign in America. you know, like diamonds are a girl's best friend. You know, a woman looks best in diamonds, like all this kind of stuff. And then so they made it like they advertised it to women for diamonds are to be beautiful. So then then all they had to do was say like a wedding ring is the best with diamonds in it. So then a man had to buy a wedding ring with diamonds in it because the girls were so like infatuated by the diamonds at that stage. It makes so much sense to do it that way, because like if you convince like, oh, honey, are you gonna give me a ring with diamonds in it? You know, something like that. That makes sense with the razors. Yeah, crafty advertising techniques.
It is
That's
so
Aoife
like,
has cracked the entire thing.
Like,
Internet. There you go.
advertising in that, like, because there's one thing that I heard that I think I learned it in college actually, I can't remember why, but it was cigarettes were like almost dead before like basically the suffragette movement, and then they started advertising towards women, and it was like Torches of the Rebellion.
Yeah, it was
type
that
thing.
victory, Torches of Victory. Yeah,
Yeah, and it was like, oh, like
Bastards.
you can be like, you're a badass woman who smokes, because
fuck's
women
sake.
wouldn't smoke, and then it completely, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
crazy, like
Wow. God damn. Advertisers, guys.
it's terrifying.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, that's so strange that they could revitalize cigarettes like that.
Well, I think that's a good and terrifying point to end the podcast
Oh,
on.
are we gonna end it?
We're gonna end
I
it.
don't want to end it.
Oh, well.
Do you want to end it?
Well, I mean, I don't know.
We can
who's
keep
not
going.
listening
We
to
can keep
this
going for another
here,
20
but-
minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm enjoying myself here, fucking Pierce.
Right? I don't know. I thought that was a good punctuation,
Nah.
frankly, but There we
it
are.
might be a bit awkward to start it again.
well, do you have a point to make, Seamus?
No,
Specific-
no.
Oh well.
But that's because you
here we are.
interrupted my thought process. Yeah, I don't know.
Your hair's going grey, Seamus.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I.
Should get some
Advertising.
insert generic men's hair color product here.
Oh yeah,
for
let's
that
chill
to
for
sort
somebody.
out those grey hairs, you know.
Nah, I'm au natural. I'm gonna go this way. I'm gonna go gracefully grey. That's what I've decided. I can tell myself.
Gracefully.
I'm advertising to myself, so I don't feel bad about it. That's alright. Once I don't go bald, maybe that's what. How much do you think advertising affects like the social conscious then as well? Like, you know, like that we have an opinion about something due to advertising. You know, because obviously like
Right.
movies can have like a huge impact on like, you know, what we find cool or whatever. But like, there's obviously those ad campaigns that are just like, bam, just change everything for people. As you said, the suffragettes or whatever with the smoking campaign. But like, does anything spring to mind for?
I think it's a kind of a combination of like, I think an ad can hit a mark at a certain point with a certain group of people, you know, about a certain topic, if you get me. I don't think that like it's all just to do with one great ad. It's kind of to do with what people are feeling before the ad and what the ad maybe does to that feeling.
I think it can in some senses though, even with like, I watched a video a while ago that kind of explained why women started removing their body hair, and it was Mr. Gillette who came up with like, it was basically World War II that they could, like, what's the thing in tights? Nylon, yeah, that they had a shortage of nylon, so everyone was like giving up their tights. I didn't know any of this before, but so then they started advertising women with like clean shaven underarms and legs, because like usually they would have worn tights, and before that they would have worn dresses down to their ankles, so like they never
They
would have
wouldn't see
even
any,
exposed
yeah.
those places before. And then I think Gillette came out with this like gold encrusted razor, and it was like as a gift for your woman.
Is this
And,
like post World War II or like during? Because I don't. Yeah.
I think it was kind of towards
Like
the
post,
end,
yeah.
like,
And
or
then-
afterwards, that it was like advertised. They started to like, women were wearing less clothes, and then they
Yeah.
started to advertise with like shaven, like pits, shaven
I-
legs, and
yeah, I have
that
to say
completely
it's awful.
changed what was socially acceptable.
That's strange. Yeah, like
And that was all like down to marketing, because he was like, I can sell more if I have a men's one and a woman's one instead of like a generic one, and
Yeah.
that just kind of changed the game then.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the look of it, like a man's product, then retrofitted for like a woman's look, or like supposedly what like a woman would like a gold one or whatever, just so
Yeah.
they could do it. Yeah.
Yeah, here's the
Remember-
woman's version.
Yeah.
Did you see those Bic had these, oh, they were so great. pens for her. It was like Bic for her, and they had this like range of pens that were all in like pinks and purples, and it was pens for women. Because women can't use normal pens.
No, well, how could they see the colours? Like, I don't
Yeah.
understand. Unless,
You know,
unless
it's in
Use a
cannot.
blue pen. I'm a woman.
What do you think this is?
Yeah.
Can't
Do you
even
know-
see
actually,
blue.
Do you know why the pink is associated with women and like not with men? It's actually to do with World War II as well, and it was
Wow.
Pink
Damn it,
used to
Hitler.
be a boy's
It
colour,
used to be,
didn't
it was Nazis actually, the good old Nazis, that actual Nazis, not modern Nazis, that like, you know, because that's thrown around a lot.
That word is thrown around a bit these days.
Yeah, it was so during the internment camps and then intern concentration camps, they interned everybody from Jews to disabled people to gay people, and they had the Star of David for the Jewish people, and then obviously disabled people were self-evident, and then the gay people got given pink to wear. So as gay people were like, you know, effeminate or more effeminate, you know, they considered that like a feminine feature. So after the war, they then got into wearing pink, and that's one of the reasons. There was also you know, fashion designers and stuff that adopted it, you know, independently. But that was a huge factor, considering like men would not wear pink then after that, because it was considered, you know, a homosexual thing, and it was considered to do with that. So then obviously the colour's not just going to go to waste or whatever. You know?
Yeah.
If like, who cares if a woman traditionally looked feminine compared to like a man would care more if they looked feminine. So they took over the colour, yeah, which is crazy. And another one actually from World War II as well, if we're on the topic. That I created.
You
Accidentally.
didn't create World War
No.
II.
I mean,
Certainly
that'd be pretty impressive though.
No, it wouldn't.
No,
That'd be terrible.
I'm not saying it wouldn't be terrible, but it would be pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It was again with the American women in factories and stuff. They invented light beer or lighter beer, like Bud Light and stuff like that, for like women in the factories, and that's why like the primary beers in America today, they don't have like as popularity with lager and stuff like that as it would over here. They had like, they advertised light beer for women. You know, this is Bud Light. It's not like manly, like whatever. You know, it's just like a more feminine for women. And then they had that, and that's why it still prevails. So there's a couple of wartime advertisements.
That's mad.
Yeah.
I never realised the pink thing.
Yeah.
I knew that it used to be.
A manly
I've
colour.
heard that thing, but like I didn't know why it changed.
Like there definitely is other reasons, but
Nazis.
that was one of the reasons for sure. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. There you go.
Have you guys ever seen any other ridiculous products for him or for her? Products that you've just been like, come on.
I think there's been a couple, but I can't like actively remember them now. You know, it's just like I think it was some that was just like ridiculous that they even made a distinction between them. Like that was so, like the exact same thing you could just use for both. Like it could be unisex, and then they just made it, you know, men and women, just so they could sell it in different ways. Yeah.
Well, hair care products are like, you know, just the generic shampoos. It's like, that's a pink bottle, that's a blue bottle there. And it's just the exact same chemical inside the thing or whatever.
Buy this. Yeah.
I saw the Brewdog did a beer for her, which I thought was hilarious. It was pink. How original.
But
I
it needs
love-
to be pink.
I
How
love
do
the
we know
way
it's for a girl then?
I love the way that like women's products are always just pink, and like men's products, you know, they're steel grey, they're like blues, they're black. Maybe, you know, okay, yeah, there's not a great colour range there, but you know, there is like a solid like maybe 3 colours. With girls it's like pink and then maybe purple.
Yeah, it is all right to have products for men and for women. Like obviously, like there needs to be for a lot of stuff. But yeah, I think the colours now at this stage are just to identify. You know, it's just to say you can use this. Like if I picked up 2 bottles of shampoo and the labels peeled off, I'm like, oh fuck, which one's like the one I normally use, or like which one's the one that smells like a man.
That's the thing,
That's
yeah, I
another
can't
thing.
smell like fruit.
Exactly, you know, like
I smell like sea
it
salt.
would be.
I smell like gunmetal.
Yeah.
Who wants to smell like?
Higher gunmetal's a good
men's
scent.
Men's
Yeah.
scents. What, like, yeah, they always have like weird names, like, you know, yeah, like
Steel. Yeah, something like that. Just straight up on the. It always is
Iron
those metallic
filings.
things. Yeah.
I do like a good piece of steel myself,
Do you think
know, yeah.
maybe even the scents have been advertised to us? Like, I probably have. Like.
The sense. Oh yeah, absolutely. Like
what
in
does, yeah.
in terms of deodorant, like that used to apparently that was originally just advertised for women, and there was no scented deodorants or anything at all for men. I think it was in the 20s they started advertising towards men because they realized they could poach this other demographic. Obviously, there's another 50% of the population that just weren't using any kind of scented products at all, and so they just started advertising towards men, and it took some time, but it worked.
People must have been really smelly back then because people didn't
Yeah.
even wash as much back then.
Yeah, they're like, I have loads of baths, 9 a year. What are you talking about?
I'm so clean.
Yeah.
Ew.
But yeah, they definitely have been. I think that was Old Spice that kicked it all off.
Old Spice.
Old Spice,
Good old.
evil geniuses.
Old Spice actually released a commercial recently. That's one of the longest commercials like ever made. It was like a 6-minute commercial.
What? How did they get the money, I suppose? Yeah.
I mean,
And
So
it's like
Spice.
an infinite commercial. It's really weird. It's like a commercial within a commercial within a commercial. It's kind of like a form of torture, to be honest. Like, I sent it around to, people working. I was like, is this like a commercial or is this torture?
That's actually interesting as well. I like maybe just touch on this. I don't know, but there's like anti-advertising too. I don't know. That's definitely not the right term. I just made that up. But like, you know, if it's so mysterious that it's it makes you go into it. Like, so there was I don't know. You know the Stone Roses, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they like their first thing that they ever did. They had just a load of flyers around. They just wrote the greatest band in the world playing this time, and they just put them everywhere. And like they didn't even advertise who they were or like what kind of music they played. They just put those flyers everywhere, and like everybody's like, what the hell is this? And then they went and did it. And there's a couple of times on TV I noticed that it would just be like a random thing for a couple of seconds or like a random word, and that would make me more interested in what it is than like, you know, a couple of minutes long of like, hey, oh yeah, look at my hair softer or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's definitely been times I've seen ads and been like, I've seen this before, but I cannot remember what it's advertising. And like, you're watching the thing and you're like, what is this for? What is this for? And it's only at the end that the logo pops up and you're like, oh, that's for a car. What?
Yeah.
Well, there's plenty of that.
There's
There's
that
plenty of
5-minute
bad ads
swimming
out there.
sequence of ducks.
Yeah.
For no reason.
And it's just
Inspiration.
like, we know you, and then it's like a fucking car thing, and you're like,
Oh, that's what that's for. Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense. I don't know, it's a weird one.
Moon Pie for the Super Bowl had some really great ads. They had this like weird robotic voice, and it was about like, it was like a scene of it was like a family at dinner, and they were all just eating like moon pies, which is kind of cake things. And then the parents were like, we have something to tell the kids, something really important, as if they're like announcing a baby or something.
Yeah.
And then they're like, you have a new brother or a new sibling, and then like a human-sized moon pie walks in, and then the whole family just give this big moon pie a hug, and it's so weird. And there's a voiceover that there's no like talking in it. It's all done through like a voiceover, but it's like a robot voice, like kind of like a Stephen Hawking kind of voice.
Yeah.
And it's pretty good. I thought it was pretty entertaining, but it was fucking wacky as shit.
I mean, you definitely wouldn't forget
Sounds
moon pies
bizarre.
after that,
There
right?
is that fine line where it's like, okay, this is like slightly artistic. We're trying to get away from cliche here, but then there's also like that just did not work.
Oh yeah, it looked
Yeah.
like an
Okay.
absolute trip. Like
Is there any ads like that you can think of that?
Well, the big one that worked is the Apple one. You know, your one throwing the hammer at the screen.
No, I don't.
Do you know that? It was like, I think it was for the original Macintosh. It was it's basically they took a scene out of 1984. And just set it up, and I think the implication was supposed to be that there was all these drones just using Microsoft, pretty much. And then this woman comes in and she just yeets a hammer at a screen and smashes it. And that was like, they didn't show the computer or anything. That was just the advertisement for the Macintosh, and it worked because it was like the first time somebody's done an advertisement like that, freaked the population out, and then they made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. We've got to like an hour now. That's an okay time to end it, I think.
I mean, it's usually 45 minutes,
Yeah,
but
but
here we are,
special
all the
podcast
lads.
for
Special.
Two guests there. Do you have any last words on anything at all?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Thanks for having us.
Oh,
Yeah,
It's
it was
pretty
great.
fun.
listen anytime.
Absolutely zero hassle.
Yeah, it is in like your sitting room.
Yeah, I guess so.
Aoife's in mine sitting room at the moment.
Yeah. So it's alright. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's nice.
If you're sick, you wouldn't be well.
Talk to you now. Square.
Oh, Seamus, you think such a piece of shit.